Hey there, glorious souls. Welcome to your Soul Service Astrology update for the 17th of April, 2023. Hi, I'm Kel. I'm a Soul Service astrologer, obviously, but I'm a 13-sign sidereal astrologer. And that means where I refer to the planets is where you can see them in the night sky. So it's where astrology and astronomy generally match. There are some little tweaks that us 13-sign sidereal astrologers will do with the astronomy. However, it will generally match, whereas modern tropical astrology, modern pop astrology does not bear any correlation to where the planets are positioned or the stars behind them are in the night sky. I think that's really important. If we're going to come back into connection with our environment, the sky is part of our environment. Our ancestors had always looked to the sky to inform their relationship with the land, with the country, with the planet, with the earth. We get to do that again. We get to have greater self-understanding. We get to have greater self-acceptance, and we get to start to heal the wound of separation, and we get to come back in connection, and then we get to rise up and change the world and stop it from collapsing around us. So that sounds a little bit apocalyptic. I'm just going to take the lipstick off my teeth. Now, that's a great segue into this week. Hold on to the seat of your chair, perhaps hold on to your pants. I don't know, how does that saying go? But hold on, because this week is big. Okay, now, if you haven't felt it coming into this week, well done you. I have been a raging course of emotions, and the things that I need to change, the things that I need to course correct are glaring me right in the face now. And that's essentially the theme for this incoming week, is it is time to course correct. It is time to make those changes that maybe you have been sort of, not yet. Now they're coming up, because that's what eclipses do. Eclipses are an energetic portal for you to clear out really deep, mucky stuff out of your subconscious, let it out, and let the change gather you and take you towards that which you really want to become, right? So that's really overall the theme of this week. You can not listen to the rest of it if you like, is that there are going to be changes that you're going to need to make. If you don't, you'll just get your ass kicked somewhere along the line. And the question I would love it if you could ask yourself is, what do you really want? What are you willing to have in your life? What are you willing for your life to be? These are all really great questions. So I mentioned the eclipse. The eclipse happens on April the 20th in Australia, and it is a total solar eclipse. And the West Australia, that's a joke in Australia, by the way, get to witness it at 2:16 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So it's a total solar eclipse, and it's a new moon, because of course it's the sun and the moon are conjunct, but it's where the moon is moving right in front of the sun, and it blocks it out into totality, and the only thing you can see around the sun is the corona. Now, I've read some of the scientific information on this eclipse that's coming up, and it's a hybrid, and these are very rare. So this is a very rare event. It's a very rare, strong energy. And as I'm saying that, now I understand why it's felt so intense leading into it. There's nowhere to hide your emotions, especially when the moon, which is our emotional intelligence, our feelings, our intuition connected to our emotional intelligence, aspects of our nervous system, stand right in front of the creator. They are illuminated on one side and in shadow on the other. So we see the shadow, and the sun is now seeing our illuminated emotions. So as the sun shines onto the moon and projects it on Earth, it means that our emotional intelligence and our creative abilities, our creativity is now asking to be merged together. It's asking us not to hide our emotions, our feelings, potentially our rage, potentially our sadness, our grief. It's no hiding. When the moon stands right in front of the sun, they come together, right? So this is a little bit of a different new moon. It's not like our regular new moons where you're going to set an intention. The beginning of an eclipse season is a whole month of a portal of change. And the idea is that, yes, it can be emotional. And the idea is you need to have support practices, support people, a support team to guide you through those changes that you want to make. So this is a hybrid. I got distracted. The hybrid event is so that it's very rare. So it's a powerful eclipse portal for you to harness that energy archetypally. It's going to be both an annular eclipse and a total eclipse. Now, it's not a very long one. So an annular eclipse is where you can still see a ring of fire. You can still see part of the sun around the moon before it comes into totality. The total eclipse is where you only see the corona. So we see this ring of fire. Is it that we have to walk through the ring of fire before that we get to see the corona? Now, the corona has archetypal energy in it. The corona is like the sun's crown, but it's not always visible. So what we're getting to see with our emotional intelligence standing in front of the sun, we're getting to see more clearly the unseen. And that has a lot of power in it. So we now get to, as our creative heart felt selves, full of courage and passion, and also full of love and a desire to create the life and the world that we wish to be in, we get to have our emotions now with that. And we also get to see the unseen. And that kind of has a little bit of the element of Pisces in there, doesn't it? Because this is where this conjunction between the sun and the moon is happening. It's happening in Pisces. And Pisces really wants us to express all aspects of our mystical intelligence. It really wants us to fuse and merge with our mystical intelligence. It wants us to privilege the intelligences that have been long forgotten. Seeing the unseen, feeling the unseen, that is talking about our non-local intuition. That's talking about our intuitive intelligence. So not only is this portal an opportunity to really ask yourself, what am I willing to have in my life? What am I willing and wanting my life to be? It's allowing the emotions to run through you, and it's also allowing yourself to be informed by your intuition. So that's Thursday, right? And not only is that aspect occurring, but Pluto is square, right? So it's a very rare 3% of solar eclipses are this hybrid type of event where you get to walk through the ring of fire and then get to see the unseen, the crown, the corona, things that we haven't seen for a long time, have our emotions stand in front of our heart, in front of our creativity and merge together. We have Pluto, the convener of destruction and annihilation, square this. So you are going to feel inattention. You are going to feel like perhaps things are collapsing all around you. And that can be, if you've not had a big change for a long time, that can feel really discombobulating. So you have to go through it. You have to go through the ring of fire to have the totality, to then go through another ring of fire, to have Pluto square. So now is a time for you to really notice what's coming up for you. So when I'm recording this, this is still 6 days before the eclipse when I'm recording this. So notice what's coming up for you. I'm going to drop this into my channels several days before next Thursday, or the Thursday that I'm referring to. So you're going to have some time to prepare. Notice what's coming up from you. What do you really want to let up and out? What really needs to be expressed? What do you really want people to see that is within you that they haven't seen, to be truly authentic? And what are the rings of fire you're having to walk through to get there? and what might be pulled away as part of this process. You're probably not going to know the answer to all of those. I certainly don't know the answer to all of those. And are you willing to walk through the rings of fire? So it's all to take us into deeper unification with the fact that we are consciousness, that we are divine, for us to all come back into that deep, deep longing and knowing that we are connected to everything through all space and time. And there's a lot of peace in that place. And that's what I want to encourage you, that there might be chaos, but after the chaos, there is always a moment of peace. And you generally sit there and you realize, oh, I'm really glad that happened, because look at where I am now. But you have to know what you want. What are you willing to allow and accept within your life vision? Now, not only is there an eclipse and a new moon on the 20th of April, following that, which is square Pluto, following that is on the 21st of April, on Friday, Mercury goes retrograde. Of course it does. Now, I don't want you to be scared of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is a 3-week period, 3 to 4 times a year, typically 3 times a year, where you get to have a rest, a reset, a recalibrate. You get to do something different. And that means doing less, right? You're meant to be doing less. Now, this is perfect, actually, perfectly timed as the eclipse season starts, because eclipse seasons, you're usually perhaps making changes and you need some extra space. You need some extra time. You need to allow your mind to calm down and to stop writing to-do lists and doing things, just chilling and listening to your body. Now, hear me out on this. So many of you have been following along since I started to mention that the Aries aspect, or the Aries degrees on the ecliptic, actually doesn't have that many stars or celestial points behind it. Look, it probably does, to be fair, because like it's infinite, isn't it? It's just we can't see it. Aries, the constellation, doesn't actually cross the ecliptic, like the asteroids and the stars in it, and then you've got Cetus on the other side. So this void on the ecliptic is surrounded by the fiery ram, which is like the back part of our vagus nerve, which is when we're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So we're having our parasympathetic nervous system activated. So that's like the ram side of the ecliptic. And then on the other side, you have Cetus, this whale energy, the watery energy, the calming energy, which is the other side of our vagus nerve, the front side. Have I got that right? The front side of our vagus nerve, which is the calming and soothing side. So our mind moving into this space can either allow ourselves to go off into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, or we can remember that we are the vagus nerve. That's interconnection. We are the vagus nerve. We are this solar system. We are this space on the ecliptic. And we get to choose to do things differently. Find practices that can help you change your mind during this Mercury retrograde. So a practice that has really supported me when my nervous system is dysregulated is emotional freedom technique, tapping, chanting, and walking in the bush. On early mornings typically, but sunset would also work for me. It's a faithless song. This is where I heal my hurts. This is my church. And that's usually when I'm in the bush. So I would really recommend, as you move into the eclipse portal, as you move into the Mercury retrograde portal, you have your practices and you do them consistently. Even if they're not working, you just keep doing them, because let me tell you, one day they work. And that's certainly any yogi would tell you that, you know, they kept going to yoga and they're like, no, this is not really working. What is it doing? And then all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, look at what is happening to me in my life, right? So small, consistent, add up to a full practice. 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day. It doesn't have to be huge practices, right? So that's a devotion to yourself. That's a devotion to you regulating your nervous system through changes that might be occurring. And that's a devotion to you calming your mind down and bringing yourself in yoga philosophy and Ayurveda back to a sattvic state, a calm state. So you've got that rajas aspect and that tamasic aspect, and you're bringing yourself back to a more dynamic, fluid dynamic state between that where you don't feel alarmed. All right. And then on Saturday, the sun enters Aries. So the sun is our creative energy. It's my description of the sun moving into Aries is no different to the eclipse and no really different to Mercury moving retrograde in Aries. Our creative energy is moving into that central Vargus system on the ecliptic, which means the creator is looking to be regulated. Okay, am I oscillating too much between survival and, you know, extreme bliss that may be coming from things that aren't that beneficial for me, right? Or am I finding my creativity is really supporting my nervous system now, my creativity as a tool to unlock aspects that I haven't discovered yet. So the sun moving into Aries is a really great time to focus. With Mercury retrograde, it is focusing more on our inner state rather than our outer state, because once we pop back into Taurus, we can start to come back to Earth. So overall, this week is big. Overall, you're going to ask yourself, what do I really want? And what am I willing my life to be, essentially? And you want to look after yourself. You want to look after your emotional state. You want to look after your nervous system. You want to look after your mind. You want to make sure that you can factor in some time and some space. So that is the energy for the incoming week. Have a glorious week. If you did want to work with me, you can go to kellygunter.com. I still have the Soul Service Astrology 2023-24 planner available. It is discounted. Go to kellygunter.com and check that out. I am booking birth chart evaluations for May and June because I'm taking my own advice. I'm going to be doing a little bit less on the front lines, a bit more on the back. That's what it is. That's what this week is. There's some back-end work within ourselves and within our life. So I do hope that you have a glorious week. Roll with the energy, harness it, write it down, move with it, and I'll see you on the other side. Have a glorious week. Bye.